Well, gang, the vultures are out. Palisades fire, the Eaton fire, even the more recent Hughes fire are all 95% contained or more. And guess what happened this week? We saw a giant spike in the price of newly listed homes in the Los Angeles market. Yeah, shocking, right? Fortunately, though, the last laugh might be on home buyers and not on these price gouging agents and sellers, because looking at every other metric suggests that there's no way home prices are about to start climbing in Los Angeles. And that's what we're looking at in today's Los Angeles real estate update for January 28th, 2025. My name is Jon Schwartz. I'm California's 1% homebuyer agent. In 2024, I saved my agents $180,000 in realtor fees. In 2025, I'm saving them $1 million in realtors fees. Find out how you can be a part of it and schedule time to chat to see if we're a good fit at jonsch.com. That's jonsch.com. Now let's get into the data. Let's get into the data. And we're looking at the most recent weekly data from Redfin for the Los Angeles metro market. And we're going to start right here on the chart that all this hubbub is about, the new listing median price of a home in Los Angeles. This is the price at which new listings are currently coming to market. This week, we exploded by $62,000 up to $952,375 for a median list price of a Los Angeles home. That's up from last week's $890,000. Now, this is the first chunk of data to come post-LA fires, but we shouldn't jump to conclusions. It's important not to confuse causation with correlation. As you can see, at this time of year, list prices tend to jump pretty sharply. But just for comparison, again, this year, we had a $62,000 jump in 1 week, whereas last year, we had a similar but smaller $50K jump over 2 weeks. So this insane jump in new listing median price is slightly less insane when compared to what's usually happening this time of year. Still, it's striking. And perhaps what's most striking about it is that all of the other metrics that we look at suggest that prices are not about to skyrocket in the city of Los Angeles. Let me show you what I'm talking about. And we'll start with the median sale price of a home in Los Angeles, which is currently at $888,000. That's down $4,000 from the previous week. And this time of year, home prices tend to dip. Nothing unusual there. When we look at new listings, we see that new listings climbed, as is typical for this time of year. This week, we had 905 new listings on the California market. That represents 2% growth year over year. Last week, we were at 685 new listings hitting the market, which represented a 1.1% decline from the same week last year. So we've actually grown from 1% behind last year's numbers to 2% over last year's numbers. That's nothing hugely dramatic, but it points in the opposite direction of prices beginning to suddenly climb. Remember, more new listings means more inventory, means downward pressure on pricing. Looking at homes sold, we see a sharp decline that continued into this week. This week, we sold 668 homes sold on the California market. That's just 1.9% more homes sold than the same week last year. A week ago, we were 5.8% over the same week last year. And the week before that, we were 15% over the same week last year. So relative to last year, home sales are tanking. And of course, tanking home sales means more inventory remaining on market. More inventory means downward pressure on pricing. Prices cannot climb dramatically when there's downward pressure on that pricing. Downward pressure pushes things down. Pending sales, again, also continued its decline relative to last year. And as you can see, it's typical for pending sales to drop off at the beginning of the year. But look at what we have. This week, we saw 691 homes on the LA market go pending. That's down 9.9% from the same week the year before. Last week, we were down 4.4%. The week before that, we were up 2.3%. So over the span of 2 weeks, we've gone from plus 2.3% relative to last year to minus 9.9% relative to last year. That relative to last year is a cratering of pending sales. And as we've discussed, pending sales is a leading indicator for homes sold because a home goes pending about a month before it becomes a home sold. So what we can expect in the month ahead is for homes sold to continue to fall. Again, this all means more inventory on the market, downward pressure on pricing, and a reality that misaligns with agent expectations that they can list homes at an incredibly elevated price this week and get away with it. When we put our listing data together, we get active listings. This is the number of listings that are currently on the market. Active listings is declining, which is what we typically see this time of year. This week we had 12,582 active listings on the Los Angeles market. But look at these year-over-year numbers. This week, 16.25. Last week, 17.96. The week before that, 19.85. So now starting from 2 weeks ago moving forward, 19.85 down to 17.96 down to 16.25. This is a slowing decline relative to last year. In other words, active listings are decreasing, but the decrease is slowing down. This is a little more evidence that there's a little more inventory out there. That's downward pressure on pricing. Not the kind of environment where you see prices shoot up. But the nail in the coffin, my friends, is weeks of supply, which has catapulted up in the last 2 weeks. From 15.5 weeks of supply on the market 2 weeks ago, to 17 weeks of supply on the market last week, to 19.4 weeks of supply on the California market this week. In fact, as you can see, we are at the highest supply point we've been in the last 4 years. So this is actually an environment for pricing to cool down. So yeah, the question of the hour is, why did list prices shoot up so much this week? Is it because of opportunistic sellers and listing agents who think they can jack up their prices to take advantage of the limited inventory we now have in the city because of the fires? Maybe. I mean, it's a tough question to answer, but what I can tell you for sure is that we are not in an environment for prices to skyrocket. We're going to have to continue to watch the metrics in the coming weeks to see how the aftermath of the LA fires affects the LA market. So stay tuned for that. And if you're planning to buy a home in Los Angeles this year, check out my 2025 California Homebuyers Guide. It has the latest conventional loan limits, the new rules about working with agents, latest statewide regulations about homeowners insurance. It's the stuff that you need to know if you're planning to buy a house in California this year. And I'll see you next week.